My name is Dr. Mitu Staroni. I am a medical doctor and I've also got a PhD in neuro-ophthalmology and some background in neuroscience research. I'm also an avid yoga practitioner. I teach yoga and I'm obsessed with exactly what stress is doing to the brain. So yoga has got several different components and it has a spectrum of effects. Often when we are practicing yoga, especially in this day and age where we have such amazing variety, such choice and so on, we forget what the focus of yoga is. So the strength aspect, the flexibility aspect, the stretching aspect are all incredibly important and valid aspects of yoga. And many people practice yoga sometimes assuming that that's all there is. But actually, that is a real deviation from the essence of yoga. And I think that it's wonderful if one can improve one's flexibility and strength and so on through yoga. That's certainly a definite positive. But it's important not to lose sight of the fact that the long-term effect of yoga is far more potent and far more important for one's well-being. For someone who's regularly doing yoga or is used to yoga, is already extremely flexible and looks wonderful doing poses, perhaps if that person might want to shift their focus to their brain and focus on the aspects of yoga, so specifically on the redirection of thought, on the concentration aspect, on the stillness aspect, that person might find the yoga to be even more amazing than it already is. Throughout neuroscientific history, we are converging on the fact that the brain is king. Everything that happens in the body is there to protect the brain. We have arms and legs to look for food to feed the brain. We have our stress response to run at a very short fuse notice away from something that threatens the brain. One of the brilliant advances in science in general and in medicine in general has been aeronautical research. Aeronautical research focuses on protecting the general health of astronauts when they're exposed to low gravity or zero gravity situations. So we lower the head in comparison to the rest of the body, or we raise the head and we see what happens. We do it fast, we do it slow, and that sort of thing. And by doing that, we notice that the physiological response of the body acts to normalize the pressure within the brain, the intracranial pressure. The brain is within a cavity, it's filled with this fluid, and it is delicate and it needs to be protected. So any fluctuations in the pressure of the fluid need to be dealt with immediately. So in a normal human being on planet Earth, as the head goes up, as the head goes down, everything works to keep the brain pressure normal. If we were to simply, without intending to go to outer space, do such maneuvers and manipulations, we are also artificially trying to change the pressure within the brain. So the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. And these two are always trying to keep the pressure around the brain constant because we want to preserve the brain. That's our whole point in life. So when we do yoga postures, we are intermittently changing the pressure within the brain, and that triggers these stress responses through the sympathetic nervous system and also its antidote, the parasympathetic nervous system. And it sort of mimics the situations we probably encounter in real life whenever we go through stress. The essence of yoga is to keep still within challenge, keep still under duress. And in order to achieve that stillness, parts of your prefrontal cortex have to redirect your thoughts to achieve that stillness. When you're still within a posture, if you're balancing, your leg is aching, you're thinking of lots of things, the room may be too hot, too cold, but you're still having to balance. And it's that point that if you look at someone under an MRI scanner, you can see activity within the prefrontal cortex. And if you take someone who practices doing that, practices redirecting thought over a long period of time, so people, for instance, who do just that in a form of meditation known as focused attention meditation, but also yoga, you can see that continual practice at doing that has actually been shown to reinforce and possibly even create new circuits within the prefrontal cortex that makes it easier to do that. And then we forget all of the signs and we step outside on the street. Every moment we're under stress, we're threatened with something happens in our lives. The best outcome of that is achieved if we have everything under control, if we have rational thinking, a clear mind, not being overwhelmed with our negative emotions. And the only way we can manage that is by a finely tuned prefrontal cortex. So the yoga tunes it by making it practice at rechanneling its thoughts. As it becomes better at doing this, you can do this outside. And that's where the power of yoga lies. So we focused on the mind bringing control back. Two other aspects that we should possibly also consider are the strength aspect and the stretching aspect. So most yoga postures involve sitting still once you've entered into the asana. And within the posture, your muscles, because of the stillness, are undergoing isometric, isotonic contraction. All forms of muscle contraction raise the sympathetic signal. So they excite the sympathetic nervous system. As soon as you're releasing that, at the end of a posture, you're getting a relaxation response. The parasympathetic nervous system is shooting up. If in parallel to all of that, you're also incorporating stretching, that has another interesting effect. So while you're stretching a muscle, you're actually activating the sympathetic nerve response, not the relaxation response. It's only when you release the stretch that the relaxation response is triggered. So at the end of every yoga asana, you're getting this relaxation response, this parasympathetic signal. The sympathetic signal is going down. And so after a series of 5, 10, 15 such postures, you're getting the ability to physically feel what it is like to be relaxed. The neuroscience of yoga matters because ultimately, no matter which culture we're living in, which society we're living in, which part of the world, which climate, even which era we're living in, ultimately, our brain remains the black box point of entry from the outside to the inside. And in order to function, whoever we are and whatever we're doing, the better our clarity and the better our rational thought, the better our existence, our survival, and our overall health, regardless of everything else. And yoga is one tool, a simple tool that you have in your own hands. You can control the volume, the intensity, that you can use to improve the clarity of the world, the clarity of your mind, and to strengthen and enhance the prefrontal cortex, which has huge implications on pretty much every other aspect of life and health.